Hi and welcome to another edition of Onside SA, the soccer show that lets you know what's going on. At this stage, we've got to the stage where the leagues are over. We're dealing with other international leagues, and Budge and Stevie B are doing their homework on that. But the first thing we've got to talk about, Budge, is of course West Ham's win.
Yeah, very good, Paul. First half was a terrible game, too tactical and maybe too emotional. Second half settled down, and it was a good second half, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know why these teams try and play a high line, but I'm happy.
Minute.
90th minute. I thought he was offside initially, but just timed run and took it well, and good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck to West Ham. There was, again, a few rorts in the street.
Oh, there's no doubt, Paul.
No doubt, yeah. Where was the final held?
The Czech Republic in
Czech
Prague.
Republic, okay. So the supporters came from both countries and had a few beers.
No doubt.
Yeah, so that's very good. Great for West Ham.
Yeah.
They've done great for the boss and great for the captain, if he stays or not.
Now, there's a stat this morning, Paul. The left back, Emerson Palmieri, the first guy to win all 5 European trophies. He was at Chelsea when they won the Champions League, Super Cup, Europa League. He won the Euros with Italy, and obviously Europa Conference League with West Ham.
That's going to be hard to beat.
No doubt.
What is his name, Budge?
Emerson Palmieri. He's a left back. He's an Italian. He's Brazilian born, but he plays for Italy.
Okay, so that was that. That was interesting in the Conference League. Now, let's get Steve on the line first. Steve, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And the first point we're going to talk about is obviously Spurs. Well, it's not obvious, but I'm making it obvious. Postecoglou, that's the way you say it? I didn't know the G. I thought it was like Delaglio, not Delaglio.
Ange Postecoglou.
Ange
Postecoglou, right. What do you know about him, Steve?
Well, look, I mean, he's... before he came to Celtic, he was pretty unknown. Obviously, he had sort of coached in Australia, went to Japan, was moderately successful coaching Yokohama, and he's done everything that was asked of him at Celtic, pretty much. Obviously, Steven Gerrard had won the league with Rangers, and he's turned that round, and Celtic are now by far the dominant team again in Scotland. So I think he's done everything he needed to do, and I think he came out of left field because he certainly wasn't one of the names that were being bandied about a few weeks ago. Whether or not Tottenham had their eye on him, or the fact that they couldn't sort of get necessarily the one they wanted, but at least they've made the appointment early, and he brought obviously some of his team with him, and I think it remains to be seen. He hasn't got that Premier League baggage as a lot of other managers have. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether he can hit the ground running and sort of get a tune out of players that have been underperforming.
Well, he's due to start 1st of July, but they've asked him to come in earlier to get things running, and they showed the difference between the two training grounds. Gee, he's coming into one of the finest training grounds in the world. Reportedly, from our Spurs updates, that he's not a man who talks to the players much. He tells them what he wants, says that's what I want. He's a few words and gets them fit. That's all I know. Yeah.
Well, fitness is obviously key as well, isn't it? And he's got quite a bit to do. I think that yourself, Paul. I mean, there are some changes needed in that squad. Yeah. Defensively, they were poor last year. All over the pitch, really. Right. If it wasn't for Harry Kane scoring the goals he did, they could have had an even less successful season than they did. So something has to change. Whether it's the culture at the club or just going to have sort of wholesale changes. And it makes you, we don't know at this stage what he was promised by Daniel Levy in the way of sort of funds. I don't think they're going to go out and buy, huge, big transfer players because, obviously we're not getting into Europe. I mean, there's, the budget is going to be a bit tighter this year.
Yeah, he's got to turf a lot of these guys. He's got to go. But sorry, Budge. Having said that, how does it influence the Kane situation, in your opinion, Steve?
Well, Harry Kane, look, personally, I think that whatever happens, he wants to stay in the Premier League. He's 47 goals behind Alan Shearer. he's on whoever he plays for in the Premier League. He'd be on for breaking that record.
Yeah.
I know that they're saying Bayern Munich are interested, but I'd be very surprised if he left to go abroad. Daniel Levy could dig his heels in and say, "You're not leaving for another English club this year." Then he'll stay. He'll stay a year, score his 20 to 30 goals, and go somewhere next year. Now, the worry for him in some respects is that United might go out and splash 100 million on a new centre forward this year, and if it works, they might not want Kane next year. Haaland is at City. If he stays at City, they're not going to want Kane. So, taking a bit of a gamble, but ultimately, he signed a long contract at Spurs. He's still got 12 months to run. Daniel Levy will not let him go for anything other than a large fee, and I think that I wouldn't be at all surprised if he sits out the season.
Yeah, I think he will. I don't blame him if he did. It must be hard. There's rumours, Paul, his wife's pregnant. I don't know how true that is. Kane's
He's got
wife.
3 kids already. Bit of a go-around, boy.
Yeah, that was one of the rumours came out of Madrid that he doesn't want to go. He's hesitating because his wife's pregnant. But I think he should stay. As much as I'd love him to come to Man United, I think he will stay, Paul. He's been there too long.
Yeah, he's been there too long.
I just think he'll give Postecoglou a few months and say, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
The one thing about Postecoglou, my dad loves him, a Celtic man. He said he turned them completely around.
Attacking football, was what
Attacking football,
Levy said.
They went and got these South Koreans, they got a couple of Japanese guys, and we know how hard they work.
Yeah.
So we've seen Sonny's best. I think they'll come right, Spurs. Really
Hope
do,
so.
Paul. I think he's a good side, a good manager, but he's got to get the backup and from
Spurs
from
have got
Levy.
my backup year to year. What about Lionel Messi now?
Lionel Messi, Steve, what is the story? There's plenty of rumours. Barca wanted him, they couldn't afford him. What is the latest?
Yeah, Barca can't afford him. I mean, there's no question. So really, for him, it was a choice of Saudi Arabia or Inter Miami. Now, the contract's not signed, but it does look as if he's going to the MLS. Inter Miami themselves can't afford him. There's no question. They can't compete with the Saudis. But it looks like a deal is being done with 2 of the league's biggest sponsors, which is Apple and Adidas. And they are basically going to be putting up a lot of money to bring him to the MLS, which they feel is, it was the same when Beckham went and, to try and sort of improve the brand of the MLS.
Yeah.
So, they're talking about, huge sums of money, tens of millions being made available for him. Also, there was, I was reading last night, they think that there might be an option for him to buy part of the club as well as on the table. So he has a house in Miami. Obviously there's huge South American supports in Florida as well. So it's not a left field sort of. If he went to Saudi, it's just about the money. There's no question. The standard is not high. There's like 2 or 3 big clubs. They were prepared to pay him, hundreds of millions over 3 years. But I think he maybe wants a challenge and wants something sort of different. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if that happens. And he will obviously have an effect on the MLS. It's a bit of a coup for them to get a player who, obviously past his best, but still has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Maybe be a neighbour to
The guy
Ashley
you played
Rushton.
with at Wanderers, Sean.
We went out there.
I met him,
Not Eckstein, no?
Yeah, Sean Eckstein, yeah.
Yes.
Now, I met Sean about 18 months ago on the beachfront. He watches them. I think he's a ticket holder. They play out of Fort Lauderdale.
That's right.
So he goes to watch them.
He could be a neighbour of Ashley Rushton. Ashley
Sure.
lives in Fort Lauderdale,
Okay,
Lauderdale by the sea.
Ashley be a Lionel Messi lover from now on.
Give me a Lionel Messi, yeah. Okay.
Steve, big game this weekend. Champions League final in Istanbul.
Absolutely.
Oh, Man City,
Look,
good things. We'll put the betting
They
up now.
look,
Yeah.
we all think they are. We think they're favourites. The bookies think they're favourites. Inter Milan are no mugs. They're going to be hard to beat. They're not going to be cavalier. Milan. You'd think that they will try and just sort of negate some of City's stars, but City have got players that can do it. If they mark out Haaland as teams have been doing, but Gundogan is the man for the occasion in the last few weeks. So I hope that they do it. I know, obviously, as a United fan, you're not sure if you want them to win that treble, but I think the football they play, they deserve to win the trophy.
Yeah. Steve, I've got 14-1 Man City to win the treble, so
Fantastic,
I don't know if I should cover layoff or not, but they are a top team. Do you think he'll play the same starting or outfield team that he played against Man United, or will he make a change?
That's interesting because that has been his starting team for all the key games recently. There was I was reading yesterday. There's Carl Walker may have a bit of a knock. And that could be a bit of an issue for him because obviously he's Carl Walker has got himself back into that starting 11, and I think that his pace obviously was key in that game against Real Madrid. But I think that seems to be his starting 11. I think I'd be surprised if he changed it.
Yeah. What'll be interesting to see is how they go up against Lukaku and Martinez. Because most teams play one up front. They play two up front. The 3 wing-back system. So it'll be interesting. Steve, a couple of stats. I'm sure you've unearthed them. Man City's last 5 Champions League away games. They've drawn all 5.
That's right, yes.
Their record against the top 9 teams in the Premiership, away from home. 1-1, beat Arsenal. Drew 3, was at Newcastle,
Lost to Spurs,
Aston Villa and Brighton, and they lost 4. Lost to Man United, Liverpool, Spurs in the last game against Brentford. So away from home, they still got it to do. Obviously, they are the better team. But one thing about these Italians, tactically, they won't get found out. The only problem I see for Inter Milan is the first 25 minutes. Man City come out like a bat out of hell. And if they can just start playing the long ball, you just never know. City are by miles the better side, but pressure has a funny way of affecting people. But it should be.
Right. I think the key. I mean, City don't want to concede first. If Milan Inter score that first goal, then they're going to shut up shop. They're going to make it really hard. But having said that, look, when we watched them against AC Milan, they really came out the blocks quickly, and I think they took Milan by surprise. So whether or not they either sit back or they adopt that tactic against City, we'll see. But it's going to be a great game. Looking forward to it.
What time is the game?
9 o'clock our time.
Saturday.
Yeah, okay. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the UK. And
all right, let's go through these lovely sounding teams.
On to Sweden, Steve. Those are the pool. Sweden, America. Those will be our main 2 leagues. Next week is international qualifying week. So we'll obviously flip for there. But it kicks off on Friday. Hammarby at the biggest club in the world, Bromma Pochkana. Only 247 teams.
But this is their league positions at the moment.
Yeah, that's their current position.
They've been playing a few games.
Yeah, they've played, I think it's 10 games.
Okay, thanks.
Or 11 games. Steve, Friday night, strange.
12.
How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I mean, look, Hammarby haven't had a particularly good start. I mean, they've only won one of their last 6. They're sitting just below halfway. But they're at home. I can see maybe make a case for them getting a result, but I think it'll be quite tight.
Yeah, I fancy Bromma Pochkana of the 2 teams. Both teams play on an artificial surface, so it'll suit them. I can't believe this team's 7-10, Steve. Only won one of the last 6, even though their home form is great. I backed Bromma Pochkana last week. They got a result, and they've won all 4 away from home. I took even money, Bromma Pochkana and the draw. That was our bet in the bets we took. But that's what I think. Kalmar, Steve, too good for Degerfors?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, Degerfors are having a fairly poor season, so I think that looking at a home win here.
Yeah, definitely. Degerfors away from home, lost all 5 games, so should be comfortable. Now, top of the league, Malmo, who got back to top of the league after a comfortable home win last week, should be too strong against IFK Värnamo?
Yes, you'd think so. I mean, they. Malmo are the standout Swedish team over many years, and I think that again, they had a big win last week. I think they'll comfortably win this week. Yeah,
it was 15-10. I saw Malmo to win by more than 1 goal, so I'll have a small bit on that. But 6-10 to me looks a gift. Varberg's Bois really struggling this week, Steve, against an improving Halmstad. I'm surprised the betting's that close. Which way do you see it going, though?
Yeah, I mean Varberg's. I mean, bottom of the table, haven't won. So I would be very surprised if they get anything. I mean, a draw possibly, but otherwise you can see an away win.
Yeah, hard. They've lost 3 at home, so hard to see the betting, but you just never know. On to our second page, Steve. The trouble with massive club in Sweden, Stockholm. There's plenty of trouble there. I read a few reports. The fans were running onto the pitch. But how do you see them going at home against an Elfsborg team who are going well?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought the betting was looked a bit closer than I was surprised. I mean, as you say, I mean, they are a big team, but they're struggling. Only one win all season. Elfsborg are having a tremendous season. Only, a couple of points behind Malmo. So, I really do fancy an away win here.
Yeah, and Elfsborg beat Malmo 3-0 at home the other day, so I'm surprised the betting's that close. My bet of the weekend, Steve, I've been on this team the last couple of weeks. They've got me money. It's Sirius.
Are you serious?
Then it's a great South African church. Sirius, you're right.
You're serious.
I think they'll beat IFK Gothenburg, Steve, but how do you see it?
Well, look, I mean, they have lost their last 3 in a row, Sirius. So, but Gothenburg, Gothenburg is struggling as well. Only one win all season. You'd think that the home team should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up cancelling each other out and it ends up a draw. Yeah,
they beat Bromma away, and they won at home last Sunday, and I backed them. They were even money, so they got my money again. I think they'll beat Gothenburg. Djurgården, Steve, decent team at home against Norrköping. Yeah. Surely another home win.
You would think so. I mean, they're both having a reasonable season.
Yeah.
There's only sort of Djurgården have played one more and they're 3 points clear. I think that you probably go with the home team. They score goals, but I think it'll be close. But I wouldn't be surprised if they win, maybe by no more than a goal.
Yeah, 5 home league wins this season, so I've got to fancy the home team. And BK Häcken surely have got to be too good for Mjolby. They beat them 4-1 in the cup a couple of weeks ago. 4-10 at home, Steve. I know it's short, but surely they should win.
It is short, but they score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
They're the top scorers in the league this season. They've lost a few, but when they win, they tend to win comfortably. So I think that you're right. I think they should be too strong. Yeah. Mjolby don't concede many. They've actually got one of the sort of joint best defence. But if Häcken start scoring, I think they'll win that by more than a goal.
Yeah, Häcken last season's champions, finding a bit of form. Steve, on to America. I know the times that...
Sorry, Budgie, are they into the leagues?
Who's that? MLS, yeah, they've had several weeks, yeah. Other teams have played, I think, 14 games, so it is going well.
So we got form.
Form, yeah, we have plenty of form. Unfortunately, the times for us are disgraceful, but there's nothing we can do. Steve, Atlanta at home against DC United. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, it's... neither are having the sort of the best of season. Atlanta just a couple of points clear of DC. Yeah. They got a draw last night at Atlanta. The early morning game they got a 0-0 draw against LAFC. I think they're starters' favourites. But they score a lot of goals, Atlanta, but they concede as well. I think they'll be close, but I think they're probably just start as favourites.
Yeah, and a nice double with Los Angeles. 23 shots to 2. They couldn't score. Missed a penalty. I think Carlos Vela was a Spurs player. Was he play for Spurs? Yeah, he missed a penalty. 10 minutes to go. Cost me a few rand. Yeah, I get Kane in, yeah. Tight game, Steve. Wednesday, Saturday isn't easy, but I don't see Atlanta losing at home. Steve, Charlotte, Seattle. How do you see that going?
Another girl's name.
Yeah.
Hillary, Virginia, Charlotte.
Look, Charlotte, again, having a mixed season, just below halfway. Seattle, have been sort of historically one of the stronger teams, and they're having a decent season. Yeah. They played more games than most of the others, but they're sitting in second place. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Seattle gets something there. I think they get at least a point.
Yeah, I just think there'll be goals. One thing about those teams in America, I took over 1.5 goals. Charlotte, I think it was even money, but the prices on offer are terrible. A lot of these both teams to scores and over 2.5 goals. But I agree, Steve, could go either way, but I went even money Charlotte to score over 1.5 goals. I'm all over Montreal to beat Minnesota, even though they lost last night in the Canadian Cup final to, I think it was Toronto, to Vancouver.
Yeah.
How do you see it though, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Montreal having a very mixed season. Yeah. I mean, they've conceded a lot of goals. Sitting in 10th place. again, at home form tends to count for quite a bit. Teams, as we know, travelling huge distances to places. I wouldn't be at all surprised they get something, but I think that Minnesota are capable of holding them.
Yeah, I think Adrian Heath, he was the manager last season. I don't know if he's Everton boy. Yeah, just said, Montreal won the last 4 inches. His name, they won the last 4 at home. Yeah. It's just amazing how these teams at home are superb. Away from home, they're woeful.
Yeah.
Talking of woeful, Inter Miami, who sacked Philip Neville during the week, but they got through in the cup last night. Can they cause an upset at New England?
I'd be surprised, although you never know. Obviously, with the whole Messi thing, it might sort of buoy them a bit. Yeah. Obviously they're rock bottom of the Eastern Conference, and New England are having a sort of a decent season. Yeah. But as you say, it's sometimes form goes out the window. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the only thing with Inter Miami is it's either win or lose with them. They haven't drawn a game this season, so I think New England will go there as favourites. But with the whole Messi thing, maybe the mood has changed around the camp. You don't know. So I think New England certainly would be favourites for me.
Yeah, no doubt. I think comfortable victors. Orlando City, Steve, another in and out team, but hosting Colorado seemed to struggle away from home. Another home team.
Yeah, I think so. Colorado having a fairly poor season. They don't travel at all well. I think Orlando should be too
Pirates
strong.
Too good.
Yeah, Orlando Pirates, Cup winners. Yeah. On to the next page, Steve. We've got Toronto versus Nashville. Last year, Nashville at home, decent side, but away from home, they were woeful. Toronto again.
Battle away.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Toronto are not having a great season themselves. Yeah. They're not losing many. They've drawn more than they've won or lost. But they're sitting because of all the draws. They're sitting quite close to the bottom. Yeah. But I think at home they should be too strong. Nashville. Having said that, Nashville actually having a decent season themselves. I think looking at it, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Nashville gets something there.
Yeah, 6 wins and a draw from their last 7, but as we know, difficult for the away sides in the MLS. Chicago, Steve, poor result in the Cup in midweek against the Columbus team, struggling away from home. The draw's a big player to me here, but how do you see it?
Yeah, again, Chicago, one of these teams, they draw more than they win or lose. And as a result of that, they're sitting only 2 points off the bottom, above Inter Miami. Columbus, as you say, one thing that happened, they score goals. They've scored a lot of goals this season, Columbus, mainly at home. But I think, that's, I would say it's a derby, but it's one of those games where they're not actually far from each other. I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus get something there.
Yeah, big game of the weekend, Houston, Los Angeles. Los Angeles played in that North American Cup final. They got beat over the weekend. Yeah. But I think they'll rebound, Steve. Houston, it's amazing you talk about the form. They've won 1 of 7 league games, but at home they've won 5 of the last 7.
But is this the main Los Angeles where all the big boys went to?
That's where Bale was, a big-time team. Not the Galaxy. The Galaxy's the other team, but they struggled. Yeah. But this was Gareth Bale. I think they won it last year on penalties when Bale was there. I'm all over Los Angeles. Even they had a poor result last night, Steve. Which way do you see it going now?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I think because of their involvement in the sort of cup, they've got games in hand. I mean, they've only lost 1 in the league all season, and if they win their games in hand, they'd be clear at the top. So, I think they'll be too strong.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of goals in that as well. Sporting Kansas City against Austin. How do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, Austin had a really good season last season, and they've struggled a bit this year. But Sporting Kansas City are not having a particularly good season, conceding a lot of goals. I'm surprised that the odds are quite stacked in their favour. Yeah. Obviously, they're stronger at home, but again, I could see Austin getting something there. I think it'll be tight, but I could see them holding them.
Yeah, only thing is Sporting Kansas City, last 3 home games, they've won them all, so that's why they're obviously 9-10. Steve, I was going to make Real Salt Lake my bet of the weekend, 11-10. Hamden Haag, New York City, a lot of good players, obviously owned by Man City, had a woeful start. That's something just doesn't make sense what's going on there, but 11-10, is that worth a bet?
Well, look, I mean, New York City, as you say, I mean, you'd expect them to be higher up the table. They're only 2 points clear of Inter Miami. Yeah. So, as you say, there is something sort of not quite right there. So, yeah, I can see definitely make a case for Real Salt Lake to be favourites for this.
Yeah, 8 games away from home, only got 3 points, New York City. Something's not right there. Maybe they're going to get Patrick Vieira back there. Steve, on to the last few games. You've got San Jose against Eastern Conference leaders Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia have got a shot here. How do you see it?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, Philadelphia are sitting in third place at the moment. They had a good season last season. They had a good season last season. They're having a good season this one, and I still think that you're right. I think Philadelphia should certainly be favourites.
Yeah, 7 wins, 2 draws in the last 9 gives them a squeak. But saying that, San Jose unbeaten at 7 at home, so I think there'll be a draw written all over it. But 13-10 San Jose, not for me. Steve, this is my bet of the weekend value bet. Cincinnati, who are top of the Eastern Conference, apologies, against the Vancouver side who won the cup last night, the Canadian Cup. I fancy Cincinnati, Steve. Big price, 24-10. How do you see it?
I don't quite get the betting. I know that Vancouver are fairly strong at home. Yeah. Cincinnati have won 8 in a row. Cincinnati won their last 8. They don't. If you look at their results, they tend to win most of their games by 1 goal. But they're clear. They're 8 points clear at the top of the conference, and I just can't see why they're such an outside bet. So for me, unless somebody knows something that we don't, I would have Cincinnati as favourites to go there and get a result.
Yeah, Jaap Stam, I think, coached them. And we also had a Durban boy, a Westville boy that coached them as well when they first came into the league. Don't know his name, but he was a Westville boy. But I agree, Steve, Cincinnati. St. Louis versus LA Galaxy. Chicharito still playing. They got beat again in the cup last night. Can you back St. Louis, Steve? I know they're the new franchise. Good home form. Even money?
They are sitting top of the Western Conference. They lost last night, but they've won 9 of their 15. Galaxy are having a shocking season. Find themselves rock bottom, lost 9. So on paper you'd think that St. Louis will be too strong.
Yeah, looks like it. And last but not least, Monday morning our time, Portland against a Dallas team who beat St. Louis last night 2-0 in a rain-affected game. But Portland at home, Steve, surely that better.
Portland at home are a strong team, but having a disappointing season. Yeah. They are past MLS winners and finding themselves sitting in 11th place. But I think at home they are strong, and wouldn't be surprised if they get something.
Yeah, Dallas, always a funny team. I've never caught them. Steve, pressure time again. I know we're limited as far as what leagues we can go to, but who you on? So
my best bet, I'm going for Elfsborg. I think that in the Swedish team, they're away, but I mean those are good odds for a team that's sitting in second place. And my value bet, you just mentioned it, is Cincinnati. Yeah. I mean, 8 wins in a row, 24-10. You think that that those are very good odds.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's just disappointing the time frame with the American games, because the games are good, but you can't wake up. I have done it. I woke up a bit early to follow the game on, because they had a bet going with Atlanta and Los Angeles, which didn't end up too well, but time frames. But what can we do? That's what we got at the moment, Steve. Yeah. So just got to keep puzzling on. Steve, Madeira, regards to Ronaldo if you see him.
Yeah.
And
I'll give him a wave. I suspect he's somewhere probably a little bit more exotic at the moment than his hometown, but you never know.
All right.
All the best, Steve.
Take care. Speak to you soon.
Cheers.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Right, Budge, let's go. PSL promotion relegation
what's
playoff.
the game?
Just sorry to interrupt you. Just to fill me in completely here. Cape Town Spurs 1, Kazrick Stars 0. Is this the second leg?
This is what they do this for. There's 3 teams, so you play the teams home and away. Cape Town Spurs have played 3 games, got 9 points. Maritzburg have played 2 games. They've got 6 points. They beat Kazrick Stars at home, but lost to Cape Town Spurs away.
So only one goes out.
Only one. No, this is a promotion. Whoever wins this goes to the PSL. So Cape Town Spurs. If they don't win, they're gone. Cape Town Spurs get promotion.
Okay. And the winners this last game.
The last game will be next Wednesday. Now,
Okay.
what's in Cape Town, Paul? It was bucketing. Terrible decision. The player sent off Cape Town Spurs. He got head-butted and the ref saw it the other way. But big game for Maritzburg, Paul. You know, Kazakh Stars, yeah, they got nothing to play for, but they do have a go. I know all the guys will be on 8 to 10 Maritzburg, but this is a tough game. This could go either way, Paul.
Okay, let's have a look at our official pools.
Exotics for the weekend, yeah. This week they're all on Saturday. The first game up, I've gone the field and the Kazakh Stars Maritzburg game, as well as the Young Kopping Sodra Trellersborg clash. I think Kalmar will be too good for Degerfors. I'm signing with Malmo to beat IFK Banamo. I'm going the field, looking for an upset in the Varberg's Bois versus Hampstead game, and I think Man City will beat Inter Milan, the Champions League final, 162. On to the American Soccer 6. I'm going Atlanta win and draw at home against DC United. The field in the Charlotte Seattle Sounders fixtures. I don't see my Montreal Impact losing at home to Minnesota United. Going the field in the Chicago Fire Columbus Crew game. Fancy Sporting Kansas City to be too good at home for Austin FC, and Real Salt Lake to beat New York City 2-1-6. On to our Soccer 10. I'm going the field in the Kazakh Stars versus Maritzburg clash. The field as well in the Young Kopping Sodra versus Trelleborg fixture. Bankering Kalmar to beat Degerfors, at Sikton to beat GIF Sundsvall, and Malmo to be too strong at IFK Vanamo. On to the second page. I'm going Halmstad to avoid defeat at Varberg's Bois. Man City to be too good for Inter Milan. Platense in Argentina win and draw at home against CA Targa. Atletico Mineiro, good things to beat RB Bragantino in Brazil. And I'm going the field in the Corinthians versus Cuiabá game, 2-1-6. On to the Soccer 13, and there's a few mouthfuls here. I'm banking Man City to beat Inter Milan. Halmstad win and draw at Varberg Bois. Dalkurd to be too good at home against Hammarby. United Kordik to be too good at home against Matala. Siding with Stockholm Internationale, win and draw at Orobo Syrianska. Lunds to be too good at home against Djinskil. Yep. Norby win and draw at home against Tavakas. Onto the second page, I'm going RK Odderfeld to be too good for BK Olympic. Rapper Golf win and draw at home against Christianstad. FC Gut to be too good for Vigbar Homes. I'm going Jolby, win and draw at FOC Foster. Breidablik and Iceland, win and draw at FH Hafnarf Jorda. And KA Reykjavik, win and draw at home against RBV Vestmanio Jar. I think that's how you pronounce it. 256.
Well done, Budge. Your best bets.
Best bets, Paul. They are tricky, Paul, but what can we do? We've got to have a bash. I'm going Montreal to beat Minnesota and both teams to score yes, and Los Angeles to beat Houston and both teams to score yes. Paul, good odds, 3,100 to 200.
Good odds.
Team goals only. I'm going Charlotte, Montreal and New England all to score over 1.5 goals, and Los Angeles to score over 2.5 goals, 3,000 to 200. On to Sweden. I'm going both teams to score yes in the Hammarby Bromma Pochkana game on Friday. I'm going Malmo and Sirius to win, and over 2.5 goals, both teams to score no in the Hackenham Jolby game. So that's 3-0, 4-0, etc. 5,200 to 200. On to Brazil. I'm going Atletico Mineiro to beat RB Bragantino. Top of the league, Botafogo to beat Fortaleza. Internacional to beat Vasco da Gama, and both teams to score in the Curitiba Santos clash, 2,400 to 200. And our handicap 5, all these teams have a goal start, which is win and draw. I'm going Bromma Pochkana, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Cruzeiro and Sao Paulo, all to win or draw, 2,800 to 200. And our Collis King 6 on Ixa. I'm going Man City to beat Inter Milan, Los Angeles to beat Houston, New England to beat Inter Miami, Malmo to beat IFK Vanamo, Hacken to beat Mjolby, and Atletico Mineiro to beat RB Bragantino, 3,900 to 200.
Yeah, Budge, we're getting into these names
Yeah,
again.
it's tricky, Paul. It's really
tricky.
difficult, but
The American League interests me a bit, you know.
It is. Well, you can watch the games, but
Can
to
you?
wake up at 4 ago and there's...
Where do you get to,
It's
if you get
ESPN.
results? Where do you get your if you want to get the results of these
Well, a
games?
lot of them Flash Score or Soccer Way. There's several sites you can get the scores, Paul. But I like to watch the games. But it's hard to wake up at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning, Paul. Really difficult, yeah.
All right, Budge. There we go. Interesting football this weekend. Until next time, stay on side.